Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. The question is about following your local imam. Is this permissible? Should it be done? Should it not be done? And this is a really sensitive topic for many. And it does require a good amount of explanation. But for our purposes here, maybe we'll just kind of summarize it for now, because there's a lot of scenarios, a lot of different things to consider. Firstly, whatever it is, you want to avoid fitna. You don't want to, make fitna. There are here are some things to consider. Firstly, is the imam, is he a Salafi Wahhabi or not? Because many masajid or Islamic organizations are run by Salafi Wahhabis. Salafis or Wahhabis, they're the same but kind of different at times. Which means they're not going to give you the authentic fiqh, aqidah, tasawwuf. They're going to have their, way of tajseem and, shadh, fiqh, and all the things that they do that we know. Then you have a reciter, for example, right? One that is known for being proficient in the Quran and the recitation. And this person could be Salafi, Wahhabi, or Sunni. Obviously, it's clear if they're Salafi, Wahhabi, then, it's not going to benefit you, really. If they're Sunni, are they studied? Do they know fiqh? Do they study fiqh to be able to help? And in the West, it's going to be a little bit different anyway, because of the small amount of scholars in the West generally. In the small amount of scholarship in the world generally, especially compared to the classical times. So that's another thing. So they can be Salafi Wahhabi. They can be just a reciter who hasn't studied fiqh, for example. Obviously, the ideal is to have a Sunni imam that has studied. That's the ideal. But another thing to consider, though, is that many qualified imams don't want to be in a masjid or an Islamic organization, right? For different reasons, which leaves us with maybe lesser caliber, people that aren't as qualified as the ones that should be there, possibly. So there are different things in different scenarios. If you're a Sunni student of knowledge, then generally you probably know more than 90% of the Muslims, like a legitimate student of knowledge, not a beginner. Even though a beginner that is taking some some study of the Sunni way, they probably know more than 80% of the Muslims worldwide. But a legitimate student of knowledge knows more than probably 90% of the Muslims worldwide. Because sadly, Muslims don't study. Muslims don't study. So that's a sad reality. So again, don't cause a fitna. Like it is delicate. The West in America, for example, the organizations, institutions, they are affected by the Salafis after decades of the oil money and things like that. So that's kind of something there. Some massages just have like a just anybody leading a prayer at times, or anybody giving khutbah, or they have like a part-time imam, or they have the different types of things. Again, somebody with a quote unquote nice voice. And then there's just a lot of Salafi Wahhabi influences out there as well. Or you have a Sunni, but really isn't qualified, like hasn't really studied fiqh. And even if there's a proper student of knowledge that's studied, Aqidah, fiqh, hadith, tafsir, tasawwuf, has a lot of these different types of sciences, they might not be qualified to give a fatwa. Right, so they haven't studied, so they need to go get you a fatwa, if they can. So it is a little tricky in the West, especially a place like America. But we're not here to really cause things. Generally, we want to tell people to go to their local imam, but whoever you follow, depending on where you're at and resources, don't switch it up, right? And start choosing. That's another problem as well. You find people out there that message. Let's just say 10 students of knowledge, right? Or not even 10 students of knowledge, but 10 quote unquote sheikhs, 10 quote unquote imams of masajid or different organizations, things like that, and they'll just start comparing. So this is a layman comparing answers of possible laymen. So it's more chaos and more problem. So again, you kind of see our situation. It's dire, really. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy, but it's for you to study. Right, study your fard ayn, study your aqidah, right, study your fiqh, right, and then become a student of knowledge, right, study ulum al-ala, the ulum al-ala, which are what's required at the beginning to take you into a path of scholarship, Arabic and the likes. And then, once you level up, if you will, then eventually, you can kind of do your own thing. Of course, it takes years of study. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy on all the Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.